Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And on today's episode, we wanted to talk about certain character archetypes that are seen in anime, and specifically we want to talk about deres.
Right. Because, so there's, character traits, but this is something that's almost, iconic to anime.
Yes.
And, you can see them in a lot, these, specific tropes in a lot of different shows. Yes.
So, what a dere is typically, it's seen as a female character, but it's not a gender term, so you can use it for male characters as well. But dere is short for deredere, which is kind of like slang for love struck. So it's a character that is in some sort of romantic setting, mostly.
Right.
Like I said, these things have become pretty flexible throughout the years, so now they're just kind of you can maybe be a dere without being in a romance, but it's typically seen as how a character shows.
It's how they show their emotion towards their love interest.
Their love interest,
for the most part. It's also, you can also see it with friendships as well. Mm-hmm. In some ways, it's just the characterization of it. Certain traits from a dere can be used to define a character, but it's not necessarily a romantic way. But for how we want to explain it, this is seen romantically.
Yes.
So this is character A feels romantic feelings towards character B, and how they react to that is what kind of dere they are.
Yes. So there are many different types of deres.
There are
many. But we wanted to go over the big five.
Yes.
That are most commonly seen. And honestly, whenever I was looking at the different lesser known deres, a lot of them seem to be kind of subsections of these big five.
Right.
So you guys will get the most information out of these top five anyway.
Right.
So, the first one is the deredere, which is someone who is energetic, kind, caring, really main character vibes.
Yeah. So deredere literally translates to lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
And so it's typically how the main character is going to act in a shoujo or a stereotypical shonen, because they're just a good person.
They're just a good love interest.
Yeah.
Right? No real conflict is happening with who they are or
a lot of the times in romance shows, it's also going to be one of the first. Okay, so in generic romance, boy main character with multiple female options as a romance. Typically, this is the first character introduced. A lot of the times, it's the ones people ship immediately because it's just it's an easy option.
There's nothing wrong with it.
There's no conflict.
There's no conflict.
A lot of the times it's oh, it's the girl I grew up with growing up.
Yes, the childhood best friend.
The childhood friend, yeah.
Yes, the childhood friend is a big one, yeah.
Yeah, but it's very generic.
Yes. So we have some examples. The first one that I wrote down was Minori from Toradora, which is the friend that Ryuji has a crush on, who plays softball and is just overall very energetic and overall just a good person.
Yeah.
She does have some internal conflict over some pretty minuscule things, but for the most part, she's just a good character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Another thing with these characters is that they're usually very soft. They're not harsh characters.
Yes.
Also, they're out of the list. This is probably going to be the most popular in a sense of the most used. So you'll probably see the most characters in general that have this kind of archetype.
Yes, and remember, like I said, about how some of the smaller archetypes just kind of fit under these big five. A lot of them seem to fit under deredere.
Yeah.
So, but moving on, you wrote up Madoka.
Yes, so Madoka is a good example of this. She is like the good, nice character. Her relationship with Homura is like I need to like save you in some way, but on the other end she also is like, well, she wants to save everyone. She's like just generically main character of a magical girl show. She's like, she wants to be the hero, kind of. Madoka's good, watch it. It breaks some things down. But she's just an overall very good-natured character. She's very nice. She wants to be nice to everyone. She's also very sweet. And like a little naive. Which can be a part of deredere, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, because they're just so nice.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, like, they're innocent.
Yeah, exactly.
They're sweet, innocent, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, so then the next one that I wrote down was Tamaki from Ouran High School Host Club.
Right, because these can be boys and girls.
They can be boys and girls. So, I mean, Tamaki, once again, is a main character.
Yeah.
He is, I mean, everything. He's the energetic, the kind, the caring.
They literally characterize him as like a dog sometimes.
Like a puppy. He's like, he wants like the club to be a family. Like he just wants everything to be good, essentially. Which I just wanted to, I guess, point out whenever a lot of these guys, you can kind of think of them as like himbos.
Yeah.
Whenever they're in the deredere category. Because I went down a rabbit hole of a different dere category called bakadere, which is just like when you're kind of dumb. And a lot of them were just himbos. Yeah. So if you can think of an anime character that's a himbo, it's probably a deredere.
Yeah. Also. Define what a himbo is.
Himbo is a guy, a male character, who is intellectually not very smart.
Yeah.
But he is, I guess you could say, emotionally smart. He is kind. He is caring.
Yeah.
He usually has big muscles, but like that's typically. But he doesn't have to.
Right.
But for the most part, there's no. He's not very book smart.
Yeah.
Essentially.
He's dumb.
He's dumb. Yeah. But once again, not emotionally dumb. Like he's usually pretty in tune with he's sensitive, I guess is what you could say.
Yeah.
So Tamaki kind of fixed that.
Yeah. Tamaki definitely does. He's also like naive.
Yes.
And like you said, just wants everyone to be a big happy family.
Yes, exactly. And the last one that we had written down was Aang from Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Right, because even though these are typically anime like tropes and character types, that doesn't mean that it's not in other forms of media as well. Right.
I mean, these are just Japanese words used to describe character types, but obviously these character types do exist.
Right.
In every media.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone. But we thought Aang was also a really good example because once again, I mean, he is literally a child. Yeah. So he has that like kind of naiveness.
Oh, definitely.
But is still very kind, very caring. Wants to do the right thing, right? I mean, obviously the show it kind of pushes him, but
he's a very happy person.
Yes.
Wants everyone to be happy.
Yes. So that is deredere characters. Moving on though, next we have the tsundere character, which I would say among anime people who watch a lot of anime, I would say tsunderes are really popular.
Yes. Yes.
They're very popular characters. I called you out once upon a time and said that you love tsunderes, and you seem to have not realized that you like tsunderes as much as you did until I told you.
I'm a sucker for them.
Yes.
And you know why? It's because it is like the lonely guy's dream.
So tsundere is typically a character who is cold on the outside, who is unwelcoming, mean even, but is really sweet on the inside. It's using that like maybe like that harsh teasing to hide their true feelings, right?
Yeah, we've talked about tsunderes before.
Yes. It's the character that is, it's not like I was worried about you or anything.
Yeah.
But obviously they were, right?
Yeah. So like you said, teasing is a big part of it.
Right, yeah.
And it's like, okay, so tsunderes are so popular because it's this idea that even though this person is mean to you,
that they
they like you.
Yes.
And it's also one of those things that like was kind of taught growing up.
Yes,
like,
everywhere. It was taught everywhere.
Of that like, they're teasing you because they like you.
Yes.
They have a crush on you.
Yes.
It's that exact same thing and just put into a character. Now, one thing that one of the reasons why I like tsunderes so much is because it's not a instant gratification. It's a build-up.
Yes.
Of like, okay, well,
you have to build a relationship.
Maybe they first started as like they actually didn't really like them, and then they grew into a relationship. And so that's one thing with tsunderes is that like it is that Dere out of all of them as a character will typically have the most character growth.
Yes, they will. Another part of that also is sometimes they use this like coldness to hide that they are actually really sensitive, which I think is another like kind of aspect of the tsundere. It's not always there, but I'm thinking of characters like Jabuko in the Do It Yourself anime that we watched recently, where she is like a child, like a prodigy genius going to a school far away from her country, and she's very lonely. She's having all of these like really sad emotions, but she's masking it by being mean, which is like another like tsundere route, I guess, is to like, I don't know, like sad tsundere versus normal. I don't know, but so we had once again examples. First one, Asuka.
Okay.
From Neon Genesis.
Yes. So Asuka is like, if you don't know, waifu like debate of who is best girl first started because of Neon Genesis Evangelion and Asuka being one of them. Asuka basically, I don't know if created, but at least popularized the tsundere trait. Like, when you think of tsundere, Asuka is the poster child.
Yes. Yes, because she was very tomboyish. She was very controlling. Yes. Was her thing, right? Like, that's how she had, like, the whole teasing aspect, is because she felt very in control, or at least wanted to be in control. Yeah. So she's, like, the poster child tsundere.
Yeah. It's very, like, it's very confusing for both her and Shinji because, like, it's a situation of, like, she doesn't even really understand her own feelings.
Right, yeah.
Obviously, there's also, like, parent issues and, like, things like that play into it. But, like, it definitely is interesting to see from, like, a character study standpoint to see, like, okay, this is where, like, tsunderes kind of started, and now this is where they've come. Like, because she's really mean. She's really mean to Shinji. Yeah.
She comes in a bully. Like.
Yeah. And, like, she never really lightens up. No. And so, but now tsunderes, it's, like, very light teasing, and if that at all sometimes. Sometimes it's just like, oh, I'm ignoring you. But, like, I have feelings for you. So it's interesting. It's interesting.
Yeah. Now, someone who I think of whenever I think of tsundere off the top of my head is Taiga from Toradora. Which I feel like if Asuka was like kind of the original, I feel like Taiga is kind of what it all kind of emulsified into.
Yeah.
Especially since the whole point of Toradora is for this to be like a tsundere, like for her to be the love interest.
Yeah.
You know, Taiga is small but fierce, right? Mm-hmm. She does do things for her friends and even like others. Like we talked about the Christmas episode, right? So how she was really excited to give presents to an orphanage. Like she is very sweet underneath the harsh exterior, but she also is like calling her friends a dumb chihuahua and like you know, like the teasing is definitely still there, and definitely in the first couple of episodes she's a very strong character, and everybody's scared of her. She's a tiger, right? So that's who I think of off the top of my head whenever I think of tsundere.
Yeah, definitely. Tiger. I mean, probably the same. I love that show.
Yeah, it's a great show. It's a great show. And then you wrote down this one.
Okay, so Kaguya. So, Love is War is a show that's come out within the past couple of years. And it's a really interesting concept because you don't see it very often. And it's that literally like almost every character in the show is a tsundere. Like, so the whole premise of the show is that there are these two like elite high school students that they are the president and the vice president of the student council, and they're both tsunderes for each other. And so the whole premise of the show is for to make the other one be the first to confess, right? Because they have this like superiority complex.
Yeah, like they don't want to be the one to...
They don't want to be the ones to
reveal their feelings.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's like 2 seasons of this. I mean, I don't know how far the manga is. They're like... At the very end of the 2nd season, I'm pretty sure he confesses. Because he's like moving to America or something like that. And so it's a really like fun... It's a really funny show. Because they're like, I mean, so they're like these elite students, but they're also like pretty lame. So like
nerds, like
they're
losers?
They're like
really
well, not exactly, because like they're respected by everyone. Like everyone respects them and sees them as like this high, like almost higher power. But the thing is that like. They're kids that spent their entire childhood like being groomed to perfection. So they're like have no experience with romance at all. And like for example, I think so the girl especially, she's like incredibly innocent and is like, oh, we touched hands, I guess we have to get married, like things like that. And so it's really funny because like they're these big stoic characters or like almost regal characters outwards, but inside they're kids. They're kids. So it's very good use of tsunderes.
The tsundere tropes, yeah.
And it's a case of both males and females being tsunderes. Because I feel like this is one that is pretty heavily female.
Yes, it is. It's maybe easier to write, or I don't know.
I think it's easier for men to write women
being
as
catty.
as a tsundere.
Yeah. Because
of this, like I said, idea of like, oh, they secretly want me.
Yeah, they tease you because they like you, kind of thing. Yeah. The only example outside of Kaguya that we really found was Damien Desmond from Spy X Family, who is a guy.
Yeah.
Because Damien, which is Anya's classmate, the one that Anya's trying to become friends with to further this whole spy plot.
Yeah.
Damien is someone who knows he's better than everybody. He has like little henchmen that just follow him around and tell him how great he is, right? And he outwardly like teases Anya a lot, but he's starting to get some feelings for her.
Yeah.
So, but he gets really flustered and usually just says something mean and then runs away.
Yeah,
right?
If you don't know anything about Spy X Family, these are like literal children.
These are children. These are like
6 years old.
Yeah, they're in elementary school.
Yeah.
Like they're kids.
Yeah. So like it literally is the like I tease you because I like you.
Yes, it's literally I tease you because I like you. But yeah, that's tsundere.
Yeah.
Probably one of the most popular ones.
Probably most popular among anime fans.
Yes. Next, though, is yandere, the spicy one.
Yes.
The spiciest one.
While yandere is... Okay, yeah. Well, tsundere is probably one of the most popular among anime fans.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably one of the most least popular to be written. So,
the
like,
yandere?
you don't really see very many of them.
Yes.
Yanderes.
Yanderes are a little hard to write.
Yeah.
So, what a yandere is imagine a deredere, someone who is energetic, kind, caring, all that.
Mm-hmm.
But then they get crazy. So they become obsessive, they become violent, they become overprotective of the person who they have feelings towards. It's this idea of only I can have you, only I can look at you.
Yeah.
I'd kill for you. I would kill you because no one else can have you.
Yeah.
Once again, these characters are kind of hard to write. So
they are really hard to write because
so you don't see them a lot, or you'll see maybe our examples are honestly kind of light versions of what the extent that a yandere can go to.
Right. I wrote down a couple of the like further extents of like these are characters that will kill their love interest.
Yes. So, but they're crazy. I mean, they're crazy.
Yeah, they're all crazy.
They're crazy. They're violent.
Yeah.
So, probably the most common one that I found was Misa from Death Note.
Yeah.
So, while Misa does not want to kill Light or Kira, she is willing to kill for them. And she is this kind of like psychotic in the sense that she gave away half of her lifespan twice for this guy. Like, like she doesn't have any self-preservation and is, willing to go to those extremes. Well, she was at one point willing to kill herself in order to not reveal any of Kira's secrets.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, she does fall under the yandere. She wasn't idle, so once upon a time she was seen as like this more nice figure. And then as the show goes on, I mean, it just declines, right?
Yeah.
Like, or her psyche declines.
Talk about poster childs for yandere, though. From Future Diary, it's like whenever you look up yandere, she's like the first picture that comes up because she is like textbook, like insane of like, oh, I love the main character so much, I would kill for him, I would kill him for me because I'm the only one that can have him, and she's like sadistic and crazy, and that is like
Okay, yeah, once again, this trope can get pretty dark. It is
the whole premise. A lot of the times they're used in like action shows because of this like I would kill for you.
Yeah, I would murder.
Now that I think about it, Death Note is an action show, but killing is a part of it.
Is a big part of Death Note. Yeah. The next one I wrote down was Yuri from Spy X Family. Probably a more recent example.
Yeah.
Because Yuri, which is Yor's brother, is like crazy. Like, and he does not show it. Is the other like really crazy part, or at least he doesn't show it as severely as he is thinking it internally. Yuri is so loving, so caring towards Yor that he would kill anybody who dared look at her.
Yeah.
Like, not even look at her funny, just look at her.
Yeah, it's very obsessive.
He is obsessed with his sister. So, of course, like, big tensions between him and Lloyd, right? I mean, for many reasons, but, like...
Yeah.
there are many reasons for there to be tension between them. But the only one that Yuri is really aware of is just the fact that this is his sister's husband.
Yeah.
And he hates that.
Yeah.
He just hates that for no really good reason. And he's, like, determined to find a reason.
Yeah.
So, definitely a yandere character.
One character... So, two characters that I have is Nadeko from the Monogatari series. She went into that state of, like... Well, I guess I'll kill you because, like, you'll never love me. And it's just more of the, like, extremes of it. And then I also have Homura from Madoka Magica. So something interesting about this is that Homura goes through three different deres in the show. But she doesn't become a yandere until the sequel movie. So in the sequel movie, she, like, at the very end, she has this moment of, well, if I can't have you, no one can. And I'm going to, like, completely self-sacrifice to do that. I'll destroy everything to capture you and keep you in, like, my own little bubble. And so it's very, like, breaking point, yandere. Again, these are really hard characters to write. And I think it's really hard because you have to keep it up. So, like, you either do it at, like, the very end to where it's a character is only a yandere for a short amount of time, or you do it... you have to do it in short increments, or it starts to get, like, a little silly.
Yes. The only yandere where I can think of it being like that, but the silliness kind of being the point is in Komi, that one character that I am forgetting the name
Yamai?
of. I forgot
I'm pretty
her
sure
name.
that's her name.
But her whole point is that she's a yandere, and it's for comedy.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, it's silly.
Yeah, it gets silly after a while. We wrote down Higurashi because in Higurashi everybody's a yandere.
Yeah, at some point
everyone wants to kill the main character.
Yeah.
But that's just kind of the point of Higurashi. If you don't know anything about it, there's time loops, and in every time loop, a different character wants to kill the main character.
Yeah.
Essentially. So
pretty much.
That's just that. And then for me, whenever I think of yandere, I think of that game, the Yandere Simulator, which was really popular years ago.
Yeah.
And I don't know if anybody out there remembers it. But, because it went through, like, a lot of just, like, beta...
It's still being updated.
I'm about to say
I don't know if it's had an update recently.
I'm not sure
but
its status of being complete, but what feels like a long time ago, years ago.
It has been a long time, and that's
been
like
a
a
time,
whole name.
Yeah, where there's this game called Yandere Simulator, where you play as a Japanese high school girl who is obsessed with a boy, and the whole point of the game is to kill every other female student, I don't even remember. You're supposed to kill everybody in the school without him noticing that it's you.
Yeah.
So that, like, he doesn't think that you're crazy. But you're and then the whole point of the game, like I said, it's a simulator game, so they give you a lot of ways to kill people. It's silly, it's outrageous. You have to, like, change your outfits a bunch of times because you'll get bloody. Like, the whole it's supposed to be a comical game. But to me, like, that's, like, the example that I think of whenever I think of, like, how do you describe a yandere? It's just someone who wants to literally kill everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, moving on though. We have the dandere, which is the shy, quiet, asocial / antisocial character. Yeah, I mean, they're just the shy one. They're the shy one.
I actually feel like this character is going out of style. It's going out. Because we really couldn't find very many recent examples of these.
Yeah, so, I mean, just going right into the example, the big, most recent one is Komi.
Yeah, Komi.
From Komi Can't Communicate, literally in the name. She is so shy. She literally doesn't say anything.
Yeah.
Because she's quiet. And she has trouble making friends, which makes her more like the asocial type.
Right.
But she's also trying to overcome all that shyness and quietness in confessing her feelings to Tadano.
Right.
But, okay, sorry. We didn't write this down, but Aharon is technically
a
Dere
I was trying to remember...
as far as,
which, you know how we watch those two shows that are like exactly the same? I was trying to remember the name of it.
Yeah, but Aharon was the other recent one that I could think of where she is a quiet character who doesn't say much and is pretty asocial. I mean, she has friends and like she does talk, but she's awkward and shy. So.
And so is the male character.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting because it's another one of those shows that puts the same Deres together and makes a really unique experience.
Yes. And then we have Hinata, which I feel like is like the poster child for the tsundere.
Yeah.
From Naruto. I didn't finish Naruto, but I do know who Hinata is, and I know that she's...
Yeah, especially in the first season, she had, like, no character, except that she was just shy and quiet.
Yeah.
Like, and that was her character.
People liked that, though.
People did like that.
Yeah. And then the other one we could think of was Krona.
Yeah, which I think is
from Soul Eater.
Yeah, which is an interesting character because, like... So, while most characters are like, ooh, I'm socially awkward, like, I'm shy, Krona is like, I have anxiety.
Yes, do not talk to me. No, Krona, I feel like, so Komi, Hinata, Aharon, they're quiet.
Yeah.
Right? Krona is not quiet.
Yeah.
Krona is shy, but very loud about it. Which is like a fun, just a fun play on the tsundere.
Yeah.
Trope, and I think it makes her a really interesting character because there's so much like, do not talk to me, like very vocally, like I am not okay right now. Okay, and then the last one that we wanted to talk about was the tsundere.
Yes.
Which is a character who is stoic, emotionless.
So
kind of hiding. We put like hiding true feelings, but very straight faced. Very straight faced.
The one thing about this is that this I actually think in the inverse is getting more popular. But like especially in like the 2000s, in the 2000s, if you had a robot character, especially a female robot character, it was gonna be this.
It was gonna be
like
tsundere, yeah.
Like the thing that the character I first think of with this, and this is actually why I think there's two different like ideas when you think of the tsundere, right? Which is the stoic character and the emotionless character. I feel like those are kind of can be two separate things. Because like Chi from Chobits, she is a robot. She is pretty much emotionless. Like I'm pretty sure she gets like happy sometimes. She's a robot. She doesn't really like process emotions. While on the other hand, you have like Itachi, which is from Naruto, who is incredibly stoic. Like, he doesn't let emotions affect him.
Right.
Which I feel like are two separate things.
Right, because I think whenever you're stoic, you're maybe perceived as more of a heroic character, essentially. Someone who you can admire.
Yeah.
I guess. Like, or maybe some of the other characters look up to, whereas being emotionless doesn't really have that same effect.
Right.
Another character, once again from Ouran High School, Takashi, who is literally introduced as being the strong silent type.
Yeah.
Right. Takashi barely speaks, and he is just there to, I mean, kind of look menacing, but like,
yeah,
he's stoic.
Yeah.
He's cool. Doesn't show emotion very often, or whenever he does show it, it's like not the most drastic thing, right? I guess. Yeah. And then we have Rei from Neon Genesis, which was Asuka's counterpart.
Right. So while Asuka was like very high emotion, Rei was the opposite of that, with no emotion.
Yeah.
So she was very aloof. There was like, emotions didn't affect her, and she didn't respond with any emotion. She's like the most extreme case of tsundere.
Right. And
there are also shows that, like, obviously there are some shows that are like made to have one of each of these characters. A lot of the times romance anime will have like one character of each of these like archetypes. Like Quintuplets had it. Basically any generic romance anime will have it. Even on the flip side of that, like reverse harem, like Ouran,
yes,
basically has that as well,
does,
where each character. And I do want to say that kind of a lot of these, you can have a mixture of these.
Yes,
you can have
of
a
course,
mixture of these as well. Like, you can have characters that are a mixture of these. Like, for example, the primordial waifu of Lum. Whenever we were looking this up, Lum came out for like every archetype.
Yes, of the 5 of these, she was on 3 of these lists. Because she is Dere, energetic, kind, caring. She is a caring person. Tsundere, she can be very cold, as we know. She can be very pouty. And then Yandere, obviously,
yeah, she attacks him.
She attacks him, and she gets really upset whenever. But she also gets upset whenever people try to attack him. Yeah.
So there are characters can be multiple Deres, like her, and I wonder if like she had any influence and like, ooh, I like this part of her, I'm going to make a character that's just like this, or this part of her, things like that.
Probably, yeah. I mean, I know she's a very influential character.
Right.
But yeah, I think that is it for this episode.
Yep.
I hope you guys enjoyed learning a little bit about different character types, different Deres with us. So thank you so much for tuning in to this episode of the Konich-Yeehaw podcast. I'm Natalie.
And I'm Jared.
And yeah, thank you guys so much for listening. Yeehaw.
Yeehaw.